In predictable fashion, the propagandist influencers are blindly feigning outrage over young Poison Ivy like lemmings walking off a cliff. For two reasons that blatantly contradict one another. Because the Batman Arkham games were masterpieces, I want to look forward to this game. That's not to say that I do. But a part of me wants to think that there's going to be a great adventure here. I know the gameplay is going to be vastly different from the traditional combat, but as I've said about Tomb Raider, AAA developers don't want to work on the same game forever and ever. Eventually they need to shake things up. But going back to a recent reveal of young Poison Ivy, propagandists are up in arms about the fact that Ivy isn't a woman, but a younger girl. And not a younger girl, but that she's not dolled up like one of the girls from Cuties. I don't know where to begin with what's wrong with this. The cutscene can be found on YouTube, and you can get a ton of information just by watching the video. That's all that needs to be done for people to understand what's going on with Poison Ivy. And I'm not saying this is a great cutscene. The jokes fall flat and Samoa Joe is just not a very seasoned voice actor. And I can't get over Harley Quinn's voice. What is the appeal with Tara Strong? I don't get it. Now I know this may shock some people, but guess what? This is a plot. Yes. Poison Ivy turning into a child is a plot. The squad are more than aware that Ivy has problems. All stories have plots. Princesses get kidnapped, antagonists seek revenge, something happens to an ally. They're problems that the protagonist faces and later resolves. Something must be seriously wrong with influencers if they can't recognize a plot when they dedicate their entire lives to cover video games. Especially when the Batman Arkham games are full of subplots. People might not like this plot, but I understand what Rocksteady is aiming for, because plants can decompose when they die and become brand new plants. It's obvious that Ivy's state is going to have some attainable solutions by advancing the story, like Mr. Freeze and his goal to save his wife. But since this game is made by a Western studio, they can do no right in the eyes of quote anti-woke. I know Rocksteady has gotten super political over recent years, but I'm not somebody who accuses people or companies I dislike of things they didn't do. That's just not the fair thing to do. Now there's another side to this, and that's about how Harley Quinn is allegedly flirting with an underage girl. What? Clearly the footage suggests otherwise. This narrative is made up out of thin air. Harley and Ivy in comics have been known to have a very personal and intimate relationship, but Harley never showed any affection for Ivy in that cutscene. Harley is very visually upset that Ivy is a different person entirely and doesn't know her. Of course, something could happen in the game that the public hasn't seen yet. I'm not closing the door on such possibility, but I believe in innocent until proven guilty. Some propagandists will take Harley's choice of word fun-sized as promoting pedophilia. So what is it? Is girl Poison Ivy ugly on purpose? Or is she a flirt that wants intercourse with a grown woman? It's quite a reach. Here's another surprise. Harley Quinn is a clown. She likes to joke and banter in more than half her lines. It's not out of her wheelhouse to call somebody fun-sized if they become smaller. There's nothing creepy about how this line was delivered, and it's more of influencers looking for excuses to be outraged. We've had baby Mario coexist with adult Peach in video games before, but suddenly it's a problem here? That's how I can spot a bad faith actor. They won't stick to a side, but rather select the one that's most convenient to them at that time. If anything, Rocksteady prevented this problem as much as possible with the plot points of her having no memory and LexCorp having control over her so she doesn't wear anything sultry like one of the girls and toddlers in Tiaras. It's just so ironic that the same people who claim to want to fight cancel culture will turn around and embrace it. Wanting to cancel the term fun-sized because it's a term that pedophiles say is like wanting to cancel Oktoberfest because Hitler was German. I don't want entertainment and culture to be diluted and limited more than it already has been. The more creativity that's available to studios, the better. So all of this hysteria over Poison Ivy is just ridiculous. It's a plot. They give away a lot of important details in the cutscene, and influencers obviously don't want to give Rocksteady any benefit of the doubt. It's either wrong that Ivy is an unattractive girl or it's wrong that Ivy is a girl at all in the same scene with adult Harley Quinn. And before I end this video, I don't understand how this would be a homage to phony activist Greta Thunberg. And if that turns out to be the case, then that's stupid. She made headlines how long ago? 5 or 6 years ago? And she has to be an adult by now.